In the early 1900s, an artist named Jose Guadalupe Posada created a figure known as La Catrina, which translates into the elegant lady. It was a nice looking illustration, but it wasn't a friendly character like Peppa Pig. You see, Posada drew inspiration from Aztec, a goddess of death. This goddess of death would control access to the afterlife. Posada took these elements and drew a figure of a skeleton wearing an elegant European attire, which was popular with the elites at the time. Posada intended to mock the elites with this figure with a statement that went like, "Rich or poor, we all die. Death is the great equalizer." In the years to come, La Catrina took on a life of her own. People started wearing costumes of La Catrina, especially in Mexican holidays like Day of the Dead. La Catrina continues on in Mexican culture as a reminder that whatever you do with your life, you will someday die. So how did this become the alias of Mexican's most notorious female narco, Maria Guadalupe Lopez Esquivel? In this video, we're going to dive into that. Maria was born in a small town in Mexico known as Tepalcatepec. Her family lived in a humble life, with her father being a farmer and her mother being a homemaker. Money was often tight for her family. La Catrina quickly realized she hated school and started daydreaming about other possibilities she could pursue. Just when she was a teenager, she left her hometown and decided to pursue something bigger. This something bigger wasn't the most positive. Her dream was to become a female narco. During her pursuit of becoming a narco, she crossed paths with a man known as Miguel Fernandez, who went by LM2. Miguel ended up being one of the leaders of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, which is one of the biggest cartels at the time. La Catrina saw this as her ticket into the cartel life, so she used her beautiful looks to seduce Miguel and get herself established in the Jalisco New Generation cartel. La Catrina quickly flew up the ranks. You see, there was other women who were a part of the cartel, but they fulfilled smaller roles, such as sweeping. I'm kidding. La Catrina, on the other hand, well, she wanted to get her hands dirty. La Catrina was involved in kidnappings and extortion. Something like this other women in the cartel stayed away from, but La Catrina had no problem with this. La Catrina also had other behaviors that were different from the other female cartel members. She would love to show off all her money and assets on social media, something that like Dan Bilzerian would do. She would also use her looks to seduce rival cartel members before luring them in and getting rid of them. It wasn't before long La Catrina became a shot caller for the cartel. She led a group of henchmen that would do anything at her command. Eventually, she got the name La Catrina as she had the power to decide who lives and who dies. She was responsible for deaths of many people, including many police officers. In 2019 though, La Catrina was really going to be on the map. On October 14th, 2019, she conducted her deadliest attack yet. The police were serving a warrant to a resident in the small town of El Aguluga around 8 a.m. However, when the police were arriving in the town, bullets started raining down on them. Before long, there was a full-on war in this small town, with police and cartel members exchanging fire. 13 officers that day lost their lives, and other officers were injured. This attack by La Catrina is seen as the deadliest attack on Mexican police officers in recent times. One police officer even stated that they're simply not strong enough to take on the force of the CJNG. The CJNG then made banners stating that police needs to drop the affiliations with the cartels, otherwise violence like this is going to continue. So why did this attack happen in the first place? Well, see, in this small town, El Agula, it was a hotspot for many other cartels. Therefore, the CJNG wanted to take control of the area and send a message to the police and other cartels in the area that the CJNG are going to take over. Eventually, in January 2020, the police had enough of La Catrina and her violence and ruthlessness. Police set out to capture her. The police located her in a small town named La Bacana, but when they approached the town, the cartel already set a roadblock to stop them. A gun battle ensued, but the Mexican police had the upper hand this time. As the gun battle began to die down, a bullet ended up hitting La Catrina in the neck. She was nearby in this gun battle, and she was hit in the crossfire. There's a video where La Catrina is sitting there in shock, barely surviving, as an officer tries to comfort her by telling her there's a helicopter on the way. Eventually, the police picked her up and walked her over to the helicopter. Despite the health care she received, shortly after she was shot, she lost so much blood and ended up dying shortly after. She was only 21 when she died. Her short life was lived causing havoc in Mexico and showing her boss lifestyle on social media. However, in her final moments, she looked extremely vulnerable and afraid as she clutched onto the officer with blood all over her clothes. If you're gonna take anything away from this video, just know if you're born on a farm, you should probably stay on that farm and don't pursue anything better. Okay, I'm kidding. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a nice day.